Historian John Barry makes the case in his fascinating book, The Great Influenza, that the flu may have originated on a farm in rural Kansas by jumping from infected pigs to humans. Indeed, the first officially recognized cases of the Spanish flu emerged at a military base in Kansas. The U.S. had just entered World War I, and training and industry had ramped up at a rapid pace as the war machine fired up. But in rural Haskell County, Kansas, a war of another type was quietly beginning. Haskell County was in the grip of a deadly outbreak of what seemed to be a mysterious new disease. People in the community, farmers mostly, may have caught the new disease when a pathogen from sick pigs jumped species and began infecting humans. The new virus, the swine flu, was shockingly contagious and extremely deadly. A local doctor was terrified by the death toll of the new virus and contacted the U.S. Public Health Service for advice. His concern was noted, but nothing else was done.
See this row of terraced houses right here? 100 years ago, in the early 1900s, the middle one, I don't know which one of the middle ones it is, but one of the middle ones was the police house, so the equivalent of a modern day police station. And there, for many years, lived the Hoyle family. Mr. Hoyle, Herbert, was the local policeman. He was a policeman for many years in this village and the next village, because villages were so small in those days that you only needed one copper for two villages. And he lived there with his wife Annie, and they raised 3 children, a son and 2 daughters. The son died young, I think about the age of 6. The 2 daughters, though, reached adulthood. One daughter, Lily, became my great-grandmother. The other daughter, Phoebe Vera, known as Vera, went to war. She was a nurse in the First World War. She trained as a nurse in Liverpool, and she did her duty. Unfortunately, right at the end of the war, around October 1918, she succumbed at the age of just 20 to Spanish flu. The Spanish flu that was a massive global pandemic. Estimated between 50 and 100 million people died all across the world. And I think she's my great aunt, succumbed to the Spanish flu. Her parents were understandably devastated, and there's a grave kind of monument thing to her in a graveyard in Halifax, which is over the Pennine Hills over in Yorkshire, because that's where the Hoyle family originated. Hello everyone, it's Saturday morning. I'm back on the gluten, so backpack full of bread from the bread sale. We needed to stock up. I gave you that little bit of context, historical context, because I know some of you like it when I give a little bit of history of the village that I'm walking around in, and it gives a context to my video. The Spanish flu of 1918-1919, it must have felt, you know, at the latter end of the war, plus, you know, frequent outbreaks of TB. The Spanish flu must have been, just seemed like the end of days. Apparently, according to reports, the Spanish flu that killed more people than the First and the Second World Wars combined, and was a global catastrophe of monumental scale, originated on a pig farm. According to reports, there has to be a patient zero somewhere in the world. Patient zero either, I don't know, worked on the pig farm, slaughtered the pigs on the pig farm, don't know whether it had to be a live pig. I assume it did, as it's the influenza virus. But if we weren't farming pigs, one might speculate the Spanish flu would not have been transmitted to humans. It's actually a form of swine flu, and we had a scare in Britain. I think it was across the world, the swine flu of 2009, and there was all this absolute drama that the swine flu was back, but it was a much less virulent strain than the one that was the Spanish flu. But I got the swine flu, as did my son, who was little at the time, and we basically quarantined ourselves in the house. My mum left us some shopping at the door. We were really ill for about 5 days. We were really ill for about 5 days. We just literally lay there on the sofa bed in the living room. But it did kill a lot of people. It was certainly a lot less virulent than Spanish flu. Or was it that there was better knowledge, better quarantine, better public health awareness? Because in 1819, you know, men were living in trenches in squalid conditions. People were suffering as a result of the war. TB, tuberculosis, was a big thing, which was weakening a lot of people. Could it be that the swine flu that happened in 2009, which again came from pigs, would it have been a global catastrophe? I don't know. It's interesting to speculate on these things as I walk through the woods at 9 AM on Saturday morning. But how is this relevant to anything in the world? Well, I want to have a chat to you about coronavirus, because the novel coronavirus is potentially another global pandemic. This week I've been watching a lot of videos about the coronavirus. I've been following someone who's, I don't know whether he must be a reporter for Channel 4, but it's all been on Channel 4 News on their channel, about a guy living in Wuhan who is Irish and he's been evacuated. His last video was him on the plane, and he actually said earlier on in the week that he didn't want to leave Wuhan if he wasn't sure that there was adequate quarantine situation going on in Britain and Ireland. The coronavirus casualties, and this virus was discovered around a month ago, has claimed around 10,000 casualties. It's just shy, according to John Hopkins. I checked before I came out, but the figures hadn't been updated for today. It was at 9,700 and something. So by the time you see this, those figures will be well out of date. And there's around 270 people died. So a lot of the videos that I've been watching have been equating it to SARS. It's the same family of viruses. It's not an influenza virus, it's the same family of viruses as SARS and MERS, the Middle Eastern virus that did the rounds. Now SARS, they were saying actually that SARS was more infectious, that the transmittability of it was more, and its severity was more than the new coronavirus. They're now not sure about that. SARS didn't actually affect as many people as the coronavirus has done already, although it did claim it was just shy, I think, of 800 deaths all in all. But that was back in 2003, so this is still new, it's still a developing situation. Yesterday was reported, and that's why I decided to do this video. Yesterday, Friday, it was reported that there was 2 cases in the UK. The UK up to then had been clear. All of the deaths have taken place within China. So there's kind of a mixed bag of opinion. Some saying that the Chinese government, the Chinese authorities have dealt with the coronavirus extremely well, and the quarantine has worked to at least contain it as much as was possible. Other commentators have said that that's a load of balderdash, and actually many people left Wuhan, like millions of people were allowed to travel before the quarantine was put in place. So it could be that those people have already infected some people. We know that the virus itself can be spread whilst it's in the incubation period, so before you even get ill. And I think one commentator said that there was I think it's the youngest person known to have it, a 15-year-old boy, is absolutely symptom-free, yet he tested positive for the virus, but all his family came down with it. It does seem to affect older people worse. At the moment, there's no cases of very young children getting it, fortunately, but that might be because people are protecting their young children, you know, really well. One commentator said that men are more likely to get it because of the enzyme that the virus actually latches onto in order to enter the human cells. Men have more of this stuff, so men are more likely to get it. I'm just reporting what I've heard. A paper was published in The Lancet. It was just put out there. Very unusually for a journal article, it wasn't peer reviewed. The information just needs to get out there ASAP. Personally, we've been having, right from the virus being a new thing, you know, a new thing in the news, we've been having like regular updates at work because, in case you don't know, I work at a university. When I got swine flu in 2009, a lot of people at my work got it as well. You know, we're working in close confines with very diverse set of people. We have quite a number of Chinese students at my university, so they've all either been contacted or quarantined or whatever, I'm not sure. Like students who would have been in China, coming over from China, the travel to China on university business has been stopped. It's of interest to me. I don't feel personally that I'm at threat of it, certainly not at the moment, but if it's around my area, you can be sure as hell I will get it, you know, as a weak and frail vegan. A weak and frail vegan who's fat at the same time. My BMI, a couple of people guessed it correctly. My BMI as of last Saturday was 24, so higher end of the healthy weight. It puts me around 7 to 10 pounds above what was always my fighting weight when I was at my fittest, when I was doing martial arts, but that's fine. I'm happy with that. I'm not looking to lose weight. I actually like being a little bit heavier than lighter. If I drop under what was my fighting weight, I don't feel as strong. Maybe it wouldn't matter to me nowadays because I'm not training or anything, but hey, there you go. Interesting aside, a couple of you got it right. So Philip has backtracked and now said he was talking about vegans in general, not me. And the reason I'm covering this, guys, on a vegan channel is because, guess what? The coronavirus has come from animals. Ethics aside, right? Chinese markets put live animals, you know, species of wild animal that are caught just for the food chain as delicacies. Ethics aside, that is crazy. The virus has been spread to the human population like swine flu, like avian flu. The coronavirus spreads from an animal host into the human. But guess what? You're much more likely to catch a virus from an animal that you are keeping in close confines, like thousands of them in close confines. It's not like just walking through here and maybe occasionally seeing a squirrel. Don't be afraid of wild animals in their natural environment, but put them in close proximity of humans in markets, and you are asking for trouble. So again, could it be that this coronavirus would not be potentially a global pandemic? The WHO, the World Health Organization, have said it's an emergency, it's a global emergency, but it's not yet, I don't think, classed as a pandemic. But would it be here at all in humans had people not chosen to catch wild animals put them in cages to sell them. They think it might have come from a bat, because bat soup is a thing. There was talk about it coming from snakes, but I think it's bats that have been the culprit. But that doesn't mean to say you need to be afraid of bats. Bats in their natural environment keep themselves to themselves. Leave the bats alone. Just stop eating them. And guess what? Not just bats to humans that can carry the coronavirus across species. Apparently, other animals can also host the virus. There was one report of one place killing the dogs because they thought the dogs were spreading it. Jesus Christ. Why can the human race not realise that catching, farming and killing animals for food is ridiculous? It's ridiculous. Look at the state we got ourselves into. You know, these daft sods like Haleman. Right, Logan Blake did a live stream with Haleman. Haleman has been in hospital. He's now living on rice and fruit to recover from food poisoning that he got from eating raw meat. Sverige, the king of raw meat himself, has been hospitalised in the past eating raw meat. Guys, what does all of this tell you? Doesn't it tell you that humans are not equipped to eat meat? And if they're not equipped to eat raw meat, what does that tell you about the human digestive system? It's not capable of dealing with the pathogens within the meat. So, all in all, guys, what can I summarise? Stop eating goddamn animals, stop catching them, stop farming them, and stop eating them. And maybe humanity will be a safer place to live. On that note, guys, I'm going home. If you're enjoying my videos and you're not yet subscribed, please do so and help the channel grow. I am here every single day calling out anybody who needs to be called out. Aren't I, Philip? Bye, guys.